It is Andrew Velázquez with another episode of Mindful Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for coming back and returning. I really appreciate your energy and you receiving this enlightened message. And as if you're watching, you can see our handsome guests already. But if you're listening, you'll get to learn about them in a little bit. I do have some homework for you guys. That song you just heard is called Mi Corazón. You could download wherever you stream your favorite music, written by myself, produced by Aaron McClendon. Don't forget to give us those thumbs up, those ratings, those reviews, the hearts and the likes. Share this with somebody that you love, that you know it'll resonate with. Most likely you do that, the more likely we'll come out in someone else's algorithms. Maybe you're an aspiring that is also balancing your life. Email me at mindfulartistpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe you'll be a guest one day. So your one-stop shop place for all things creativity, balancing spirituality while being an entrepreneur. I have Ilde, you guys, Ilde Goncalves. Did I say that correct?
You can say Gonçalves or Goncalves if you say it in Spanish.
Goncalves. Okay, that sounds
Hi
better.
guys. Hi,
Welcome, welcome.
for having
How
me.
are you, babe? You look so
Good,
handsome.
good.
I love the sailor striped top realness you're giving
Love,
me.
love my stripes.
So, can I give you a little introduction, a little bio?
Sure, please.
All right. So, Goncalves, born in Venezuela, Portuguese parents. Ilde grew up traveling between the two continents and the two cultures. He was influenced by fashion at an early age, as his mom worked as a seamstress, later managed a menswear clothing factory, where Ilde had his first job assisting his mother and starts experimenting with creating clothes and playing with colors, textures, and shapes. His early love for creating garments led him to attend Fashion School Brivil in Caracas while studying classical ballet and modern dance at Teatro Teresa Carreno at the same time. I did not know that. Multiple talents. Here he meets and works with choreographer Vicente Nebreda, one of the most influential Latin neo-classical choreographer who asked Ilde to be part of his company and dances professionally with Ballet Nacional de Caracas for a few years. When he was getting ready for the ballet shows, Ilde discovers that his other big passion and talent is makeup. In 2001, he moves to Miami Beach, where he does makeup for costumes for a few entertainment companies. And in 2005, he starts his makeup career with Sephora as a beauty consultant, where he finishes learning all the different facets of the beauty world. A few years later, he becomes an important part of the Sephora Pro team, and it's with this team that he becomes an ambassador for the brand, is a part of the major marketing events, makeup educator, and mentors for the artists within the beauty retailer. As a Sephora Pro lead, Ilde worked on product development, coaching, and developing other artists, creating makeup for Sephora campaigns, makeup key artists for shows during New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, and Miami Fashion Week. He also played an important role training and inspiring artists while opening the first Sephora stores in Mexico and Brazil. At the moment, Ilde is being represented by two makeup agencies, working with celebrities doing hair and makeup for campaigns, lookbooks for fashion brands, helping launch beauty brands in LATAM, Gucci Beauty, and Kylie Cosmetics, and working on his own photography and amazing swimwear brand, Ilde Swimwear, that I love and my husband loves too. His mission statement: beauty is everywhere. Welcome, welcome, Ilde Goncalves. Yay, bravo.
Yes. Thank
Man,
you,
that
Andrew.
was so
That was
cool
an
to
introduction.
learn about your background, your portfolio. I didn't know that, so that's really fascinating. How does it feel to hear a little bit of your work and your legacy?
It's wow, yeah, it takes me back. I've been in so many, different eras on my own yeah, like my own adventure, and definitely like as you can see, like I was always all over the place. I wanted to be an artist somehow, and I didn't really know what or what was it, because back then in the 80s and 90s, being a makeup artist wasn't really a job. You couldn't
Correct.
go somewhere
Yeah,
and study to be a makeup artist. So
right.
some reason I started studying modern dance, and then I got a scholarship with this new company, and I started learning about dance and ballet. And at the same time, I was going to fashion school. And it's with at fashion school that I started drawing. I was obsessed with the supermodels from the 90s, obviously. because I studied from the 93 to 96. And I was already kind of sewing because my mom, as you can see, like my first job was with my mom at this factory where we made pants and clothing for men. And little by little, I started learning how to do some things, and I started making for me and one of my friends leotards and all the lycra shorts and stuff because we used to compete in aerobics competition, obviously.
Sure. Yes.
And then yeah, like I started making a few outfits. Then we started making like some yoga and aerobics leotards for different gyms. And then I was like, wow, I think I really like this. And I went into fashion school, learned more about fashion history, about, how to make patterns, how to make different sizes, and how to create a collection, all those things. And when I graduated fashion, I got called to work with the Ballet Nacional de Caracas, and I was like, do I work as a designer? But I had this opportunity, and I know that being a dancer, it was such a short career that I said yes, and it was amazing. And it's really there where I start falling in love with makeup, because you have to get ready on your own.
Yeah.
You're usually in
Yeah.
a dressing room with like 5 or 10 other guys, and then the girls have their own dressing rooms, and everyone's getting ready.
Hmm.
But I was good at it, and then my friends will come and we're like, "Can you do my brows? Can you?"
Yeah. What kind of makeup look was it for the performance aspect?
Well, when you do ballet, it's really like your skin, really matte, and the makeup's kind of heavy because the theater is so big that the makeup is dramatic if you see it from
Sure.
close. But then
Probably
from
using
far
brands
away,
like,
really, you enhance your brows and liner on top and bottom, so you make your eyes look a little bigger.
got it.
Um, but that was really it. When I moved to Miami, I started working with different entertainment companies,
Hmm.
and then you have to do creative makeup. I started working with drag queens in different clubs, and then it's like another level of inspiration, right? Working with some of the best drag queens in Miami
Hmm.
and
Especially at
seeing,
that time. Oh my God.
yeah, imagine the 2000, 2001, 2005.
It's like Club Kid era.
So
Yeah.
that was really, really cool as well. And it really pushed my boundaries to like get out of
Yeah.
the box and create like anything, really, anything was possible.
Yeah.
And then I started working with Sephora, and that completely changed my
Hmm.
career. At some point, I stopped dancing when I was 35. I was like, this is it, people.
Yeah. There's
I
only
danced.
enough stretching you can do.
Yeah, and like the jumps don't get higher. Your body really starts feeling the years of
Sure.
practice.
Yeah.
And I started a new adventure with Sephora, and then little bit after a few years, maybe two, I got into the Sephora Pro team, which it was insane. I work with like some
Hmm.
amazing makeup artists from all over the US, from different backgrounds and ethnicities, and it was just so much fun to learn all the aspects of the makeup world because there's so many,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's at the beginning I wanted to be a makeup artist and maybe work on celebrities and music videos, but when you start really learning about the beauty industry and all the things you can do as a makeup artist, that was really like mind blowing.
Yeah, I love that you took so many risks and were curious at such early part of your career to have that courage and want to experience different mediums from dance, ballet to choreography, I imagine, and then go into fashion and then seamstress and but was really like the one pillar at the end that kind of kept calling you, go this way, go this way. I wanted to go a little bit back in time and to your origins, if you don't mind sharing, because I like to discuss a little bit about the innocence of the artists, and you really ages 1 through 10 is kind of what shapes our aesthetic in a sense, because that's what we're absorbing in our environment. And so I'm wondering, how was baby Ilde, and were you always creative? Did you have some muses or heroines or people that you looked up to? Who was your mentor?
Hmm. I think I had a few mentors throughout my career for sure, in every little of my
Chapter, yeah.
eras.
Mm-hmm.
But as a little boy, imagine I grew my family's all Portuguese, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like very religious,
Yeah,
which is normal for like my family's from Madeira, from a little island in Portugal.
that's so
And
cool.
then they moved to Venezuela after the Second World
Mm-hmm.
War. And basically they have a few businesses that my whole family have like businesses, and I'm the first in my family that wants to be an artist, so it was hard at the beginning because I'm also like the first gay, you
Sure.
know it's like but I love dancing. My family loved dancing and singing. My mom had me in every class possible, so I
Okay.
was like I had she had me learning how to play the mandolin, and I learned how about music,
Wow.
which I didn't love, but then later in my life it really helped me when I was a dancer, right?
Sure.
So every little thing that little Ildi learned, um, it's really basically what I'm doing now. I think if I had a heroine, I don't know, when I was a little kid, it will be Barbie. I was
Yeah, good
obsessed
choice.
with dolls, and maybe it was because it was prohibited for me, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
a boy and these macho families in Latin America, which we're
Yeah.
not supposed to play with that. And I was like completely obsessed with Barbies. I will go to one of my cousin's house and cut their hair and destroy
Yeah.
and play with
Same.
our Barbies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And in a sense, what I did back then and what I thought it was super fun is kind of like what I do now. I still
Yeah,
do hair
totally.
and makeup and I dress as models. And I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, I'm still
100%.
doing what little Ilde wanted to do back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love that too. It's important for us as artists to keep that innocence and little baby, keep feeding him inspiration. And when you have moments of, hardship or letdown or confusion or loss, think of that. Think of, how you would want to make them proud. And so it's important for us to like, hug them a little bit. So I like that you were already at that age so young and still kind of inspired by the Barbies, and now you have your real life Barbies. So that's amazing. I love that.
love
You
it.
talked a little bit about your family being religious and were you spiritual at all? And where are you at today with your spirituality, whatever that means to you?
Spiritually, yes. I feel like I find more comfort now if I meditate or if I do yoga. Um, I was very religious because even my kindergarten and my school and even my high school was with nuns.
Yeah, it was
I
all
went
catechism kind
uh,
of. Yeah.
super Catholic, very strict.
Yeah, same.
At the end, it was a little annoyed by it sometimes, but I had a really great education because those Spanish nuns are really, really good. So I'm blessed in the sense that I had that strict. I learned about discipline, which
Sure.
was something great from growing up in the 80s and 90s. There was none of this BS that kids
Hmm.
now do, and there's no respect to the adults, and like, so yeah, like super strict, super Catholic. But then I start realizing that I'm gay, and
I'm
there's that
sinning.
conflict.
According
You
to their
know,
philosophy. Yeah.
with religion and what I was learning in school and by the nuns that
Hmm.
Christ, and I'm like, wait a minute, am I really going to hell?
Right.
So that's when there's a little bit of like a breakup. There, I still
Sure.
see something beautiful from my culture.
Yeah.
And even when I graduated from fashion school, we had to get inspiration in different parts of Caracas, right? And my inspiration was the museum, museums, Museo Sacro, which is like a religious
Mm.
museum.
Yeah. But I
And
imagine
then
really beautiful.
it was beautiful. And then my fashion show, I had classical ballerinas on point shoes that were like virgins, pretty much, and walking with
Wow.
like, yeah, it was beautiful. So I still see it
That's
as something
amazing.
amazing. If I go into a church, I think it's beautiful, all those churches in Italy and Portugal.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
obviously, my beliefs are completely different
Right, right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I relate and understand where you're coming from. Also was raised Mexican Catholic, like Sister Mary was my first, mentor for catechism every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, sometimes 3 times a week. So yeah, quick, I kept asking questions and uh, kind of questioning the Bible itself. And so yeah, I mean, in a sense, there's some romanticism to it, and I do see some beauty in, prayer and meditation. But when it comes to, judging people for their beliefs, it's not kind of, I always say now to this day, like I'm the forever student of the University of Mother Nature. And if you practice love and light with wherever you go, you're good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my mission
Well, what you
statement.
say is key, the forever student, because that's
Yeah.
something that I
Hmm.
feel like I'm always learning. And as I told you before, like the Ilde, when I was a kid, I was super curious. I was kind of a smart kid. And then, like I always clinch to like smart, I'm fascinated by smart people, and then learning from like the ballet and fashion and then the makeup world, because I feel like what I do now, it's all of that, together. Because when I'm in a shoot, like, yeah, sometimes I'm doing makeup, but sometimes I'm doing hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah.
you're also doing the wind machine so that the hair kind of
Oh, for
blows.
sure. Which is choreography.
It's choreography as well.
Yeah.
So it's like knowing where you have to hear the air, knowing when you have to do
Hmm.
it, in
Hmm.
what strength, so that she
All
doesn't
the
look
all the
like
details matter. Yeah,
it's, yeah. And then also now when I do my photography, it's like knowing how to tell the models how to pose, how to
absolutely.
play with the lighting, and sometimes I
Getting
have to
them
do
comfortable, giving
styling.
them
So
energy. Yeah,
yeah, so all of the things that I learned throughout my career, I'm still using them till now. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I would love to visit Portugal. That would be such an experience. I've been to Spain, but Portugal's on my list. I mean, it's right there. I don't know if you've ever done like 23andMe or the Ancestry.com. Um,
I haven't. I'm kind of
okay.
curious, but really, my whole family is from a little
Mm,
town. So my
yeah,
mom, my dad, my grandparents, they're all from this little
yeah.
island. I know that I have some family that went to South Africa because it's like a
They're
Portuguese
really
colony.
close. Yeah.
But then my whole family went to Venezuela. So it's
Hmm.
basically it's a little boring. But I would like to see what's in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. We did it because my husband's adopted, so we were just curious so I got him Ancestry and then I got the 23andMe just to have different ones to compare. Um, yeah, and it says, I mean, I'm like your typical Mexican 50-50 indigenous, Aztec, Mayan, but then the other part is all like Spanish, Portuguese, Italy. Basically everything brown in that area, you know what I mean? So do you speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English?
Yes. At some point, Andrew, I actually was going to study languages because
Yeah,
I love them, and
they're
I
fascinating. Yeah.
obviously I grew up learning Spanish, but then
Hmm.
my grandparents spoke a little bit of like Portuñol. They will still speak Spanish, but with a little bit
Sure.
of Portuguese accent.
But
And then
which
when
is
I was
completely different from the Brazil Portuguese, from my experience. Now that I'm
yes,
in
yes,
Florida.
I had to learn that accent later in my life.
Yeah.
But then I went a few times to Portugal as a kid, and my mom had a surgery at some point when I was like
Mm.
7. So I went for 6 or 7 months with my grandparents to Portugal, and I got to learn because when you're that young, you really absorb the
Sure.
language. And then my first year of high school, I had the brilliant idea to go to Portugal and study there.
Wow.
It was hard,
Yeah.
but I loved it. And then I really got to learn Portuguese right,
Yeah.
And when I was on the pro team, and then they were opening Sephora Mexico and Sephora Brazil, they
Correct.
picked from my team to go and do the openings, do the trainings for the makeup artists. And luckily, I was one of the very few Latinos in my team. There were a few of us, but I was
Yeah.
one of the very few that spoke good Spanish,
Fluently. Yeah.
is in Spanish.
That's right.
And
Representation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when they went into Brazil, I was like, "Hi, I speak Portuguese," and they were like, "You speak Portuguese too?" And I was like, "Yeah," and it was a little rusty, but
Yeah.
after going a few times, I mean, now my Portuguese is excellent.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you probably adapted to the Brazilian Portuguese also.
I had to. Well, for us makeup artists, if we want to be successful, you have to adapt.
Period. Mm-hmm.
That's part of our job, really. Like when I
Mm-hmm.
go to set, I have to adapt to the creative director, to the
Mm-hmm.
photographer, to the model. You have to adapt to the model. If
Yeah.
she's a fashion model, she's going maybe a little bit more complicated. Or
Mm-hmm.
if you know, like if she's Latina, then you have to speak the language. It's
It
like
just
there's
makes them more
so,
comfortable. Yeah. Part of the being the
so
team. Mm-hmm.
definitely being adaptable
Yeah. I
had
know
me
I
have
know
some success in the
agravado or leve, po, baton. That's all I know.
Well, so imagine the Sephora store where I worked at was on South Beach. And
Hmm.
on South Beach, you really get all the tourists you can from like all over. We will get
Totally.
Russians, but at some point, Brazilians were like the number one client
Dominating.
in
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
And I was the only one in my store that spoke a little bit. And
Right.
I was shy at the beginning. I was like, because it was like in the back of my brain. I was like, I would tell him, like, if you
Because
speak to
they latch on to the one person that will understand them, and it's like
Yeah, and
you're
I
their
was like, if
go-to.
you speak to me in Portuguese, because I will understand, I'll speak back to you in Spanish.
Correct.
Little by little, after a month, Andrew, I was already speaking
Wow.
back to them in Portuguese, and yeah, like I
Okay.
back, yeah, little by little.
So it's going to be 2 years in September that we lived here in Orlando, Florida now. And yeah, same thing. I'm back in the field and learning the, demographics. And yeah, most likely I can understand the Portuguese in Brazil when they speak it very slow. And if I talk to them
Yeah.
in Spanish, they can understand me as well. But I'm picking up like little words here and there.
Oh yeah,
So
like how to say powder, how to say
yeah,
lipstick,
yeah,
how to
yeah.
all those things.
Iluminado. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
sometimes it's very similar to Spanish, but
And they understand
awesome.
Portuguese very good too. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your origins. That was really interesting. And now I know more about where you come from and your background. I love that because we all come from different backgrounds and different places. And this is a safe space for everybody to be inclusive and feel like they're a part of something special. All right. So this segment I like to call How You Gonna Love Somebody Else If You Can't Love Yourself First. For Ilde, I would like to know, because you're so stunning and gorgeous, and what is your self-care beauty regimen? Because this is for beauty people. Do you take time for yourself selfishly before you are of service to others? And do you have any pro tips and tricks that you want to share?
never let yourself down.
Mm,
No, I mean, yes,
well said.
definitely. I'm a big believer of self-care. I push myself to like now, maybe I don't do so much as maybe when I was in Sephora, I was always doing facials and masks. Plus, after a while, part of my job was also to test different products and then give feedback to the brands. So I love, to me, it's fascinating to try skincare, to try different brands, to see what it does. I have a magnifying mirror. And if I
Hmm.
do like a retinol treatment at night, then the next day I go in the morning and I see
Look
how
at the
it
results. Yeah,
looks. Uh, because to me, like to be a good makeup artist or a great makeup artist, you have to know about skincare. So if you don't know how to deal with skin and how to treat like a dry skin, because maybe my model went to the Bahamas for 3 days and she comes right on set and she's super dry, or maybe you get a more mature model and she's closer to her 50s and you have to hydrate, and maybe do a mask under her eyes or yeah, all those things. Or if you do a man, then what you really need to do for male grooming, that it doesn't make it, you don't make it look like a drag queen on camera, right? So all of those things.
totally.
And I love to practice that on me as well. Like, every now and then I do my hair mask. And I really push myself to still work out and stretch and do yoga. Today I went early because I had
Yeah,
the podcast with you, and I was like,
yeah.
no, to go
I
and
went
let
early
the
too.
energy out and
I
sweat.
see you. We see you in your stories, looking ripped, always with your Ilde swimwear. Yeah, you're always on point, so that's good.
Well, it's also, I think, part of my job. I think like you don't have to look good, but I know that some of my clients are very like powerful, rich women that they do like a handsome guy to go and do their makeup.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like, so yeah, like if I go, depending on my client, I dress up in a different way, but you always have to, you always have to look good. Your nails have to be impeccable. You know, your breath have to smell like mint all the time.
Yeah,
There's
you're right.
so many layers of a
The
job of
image.
a celebrity
Mm-hmm.
makeup artist, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because essentially your image is part of your portfolio, and they're gonna have more trust and faith into that artist that is representing all those, checking off those boxes. So thank you for sharing that. Very cool. All right, so this segment I like to call Love is Art, Art is Love, because for me they are the same. What practices or routines, Ile, do you have in place to nurture your creativity and spirituality while running your business?
Juggling
Yeah,
like all these
I know,
things.
right?
Um, I think I still try to look at some magazines, right, and find some inspiration there because I used to buy like French magazines, like
They're still out there. They still exist, you guys.
no,
There's
there's
still
still, but
magazines.
it's not the same, like back in the days I will run to the stores and spend all my money in like the Italian Vogues and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
V magazine and the Numero and all of those that, I still have them and every now and then
Same.
what I do, because fashion and
It's
makeup
relative. Yeah.
and it's like a cycle, right? So if I go
Yeah.
into like one of my beautiful Numero magazines from 10, 15 years ago, it's still relevant. So every now and then, like the other day I had um they asked me from the Up Makeup magazine, Michael DeVellis asked me to do a little beauty story, and I was like, what do I want to do? So I went back to my old magazines, like my Vogues from 10 years ago.
Love
And
that.
then, everything, even a movie. I can find
Hmm.
inspiration in a movie that I'm like a French movie that I'm watching. So I'm always
Sure.
alert. But even like a beautiful sunset in Miami can give me inspiration. So yeah, everything inspires me from like so many venues.
Yeah. That's so cool. Thank you. Can you share any tips or advice for aspiring entrepreneurs looking to incorporate more creativity or spirituality into their work?
Hmm. Just be organized. Just be organized and focused. And like I think it helps me sometimes because as artists, like at the beginning, I wanted to do it all, and I wanted to dance, and I wanted to design, and I wanted glitter and feathers, and now I'm like, wait a minute, Ilde, you can't have it all. So it's like I'm much more focused on what I'm doing and how I spend my time. I still try go out and have fun with my friends, but like for a makeup artist, yeah, the people that you hang out with, the places that you go to, all of that, I feel like affects you or your aura. So yeah, but being organized, getting up in the morning early and having my coffee and setting up my expectations and having my to-do list, really, that it's like amazing how it had helped me. Just a to-do list that I can redo every week, or then you have like every month you go back, and it's one of the few ways that I keep myself um grounded and kind of like organized. Because if not, an artist can be like, oh my God, look at that, it's shiny. And we
Yeah.
may get distracted and not focus on like the career and like the
Hmm.
inspiration and your yoga and your
I
break.
love it.
'Cause, I mean, sometimes I have clients, Andrew, that maybe like a supermodel or like or a celebrity. It happened to me 6 months ago. I had a job with like a famous Latina celebrity, and I almost left set because she was so disrespectful and it was so
Yeah.
obnoxious that I was like, I really had to breathe a few times and control myself and be like, Ilde, you know that this is not about you. Today is about her.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I have to like calm myself and be like, chill, you're doing this for, the magazine and your agency. I couldn't disrespect also and the set and leave my agency like that. So I have to control myself and be like, but yeah, all of that, all of those things really help me.
Well said, friend. No, I totally agree with everything you said. Couple of things that I want to recap. Almost journaling having a checklist, something that's routine that you physically seeing in front of you, and then you're physically writing and putting it out into the universe so you know that it's going to fruition, it's going to happen, and you're staying organized with that. I feel also like mind, body, soul with staying grounded within your own ego, because as artists, the human cannot exist without the ego, but having a little balance in the focus of soul, which sounds kind of hippie, but I'm saying, the breath work, the yoga, the meditation in the morning that you're doing is so important because you're taking care of yourself before you are in this environment. So you come in a little more balanced and you were able to take that step away and say, I'm going to check myself. I'm not going to let this energy exchange affect my work. If anything, you know what? My energy is going to counteract and change their energy too. And so you can, as the artist, you have the capacity to come in, take a step away, give yourself that time to breathe, and then come back and you'll have a different, fresh set of eyes to that situation. So you can, have a different mindset. So I like that you were sharing pretty much the order of your day really, which is kind of great. And then granting yourself some rewards and rewarding yourself with a night out with your friends or having that balance, because if it's just work work work, which I love it, I'm all about career too, but it's not worth the career if you don't have someone to enjoy it with, a friend to like laugh with, or go out and be
I
silly and
feel like
dance. You know what I
I feel like
mean?
I made that sacrifice. Like 15 years ago when I started, I was that artist. I'll be like, yes, photo shoot at what time? Yes, I'll do it. And then when I started on pro, at some point in my career, I couldn't say no because when you're growing into a corporate world and so competitive, because every artist wants to do your job. So I had 12 of those artists with me. And if I will say no, someone else will go to Brazil or go to Mexico or do a fashion week. And at some point, I didn't see my family for a long time. And I was single for a while too, because I would go to New York for 5 days for Fashion Week. And then from there, go to Brazil for a week or two. And then from there, come to Miami, pack, and then go to San Francisco for another week. And then I will go to Puerto Rico. Some weeks I was in 5 cities or 3 different cities, sometimes in a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. But I was young. I was so passionate for what I was doing that I really, even when I was tired, I was still excited. And
Hmm.
I was super tired to go to Brazil, but I was still going there,
Sure.
and my friends
Yeah.
and experiences. And now that I'm on my 50s, I'm like, no, I couldn't have that rhythm anymore of,
Yeah.
traveling and work. But I had it, and all of those experiences again had made me the artist that I am today.
Period. Well said. Yeah, there is a time and place for that kind of ethic, but it does have an expiration date, and the body is, kind of like your temple. So you got to practice that mind, body, soul balance so you can be of service. So thank you for sharing all of that. I love that. You've been published, you're working with celebrities, you have your own brand, fashion, swimwear. You have been with Sephora's pro team, you're international. How do you measure success in both your creative and entrepreneurial pursuits? And do they ever overlap in any way?
Uh, I, I don't even know how to measure success anymore. I mean, um,
You touched a little bit on it now, saying that if you can still have fun and be balanced with your partner or your friends, and you touched a little bit on the balance of life, whatever success means to you now, maybe it's
yeah, that
changed.
that to me is success. Still be in being able to do a celebrity or a superstar when they come to Miami, or still do like campaigns all the time that I love to do fashion campaigns. But at the same time, being able to spend a day or two with my husband and my dogs at home, just going to the beach with my husband or seeing my friends and laughing and dancing like crazies until you can't anymore.
Yeah, that's important.
I feel like that's my balance. Still watching beautiful movies or reading a book every
Sure.
if I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have a beautiful life in Miami. That's why I live here. It's because I can still open the window and be like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And I see the palm trees and
Yeah.
feel the sun, and I'm like, I'm good. Life is
You're
good.
around a lot of natural beauty too. I love that you're feeding your soul with that too. Very cool. All right. So you like I said, we have talked about your origins, your career, and I also feel why you're so grounded is because you give back to the community. Like you're part of the powder group with Michael DeVillis and I imagine the makeup show, and you give back your knowledge. You're this artist that likes to share your experience, your expertise. Like you're a mentor as well. So I feel that's very important throughout your journey as an artist to find someone that you can, lift up, make an impact in their life, right? I say that to you guys, our crown community, pass your crown to somebody else. And I feel this little renaissance of artistry happening. If we continue to do that to capacity, and share that love and light, we can really make a difference here, right? Like, what's your take on that? Like, how do you feel being a mentor to our community?
When at the beginning I wanted to be, or I was dreaming of being a makeup artist, I never thought of being an educator at all. To me, in my head, I thought of Paris Fashion Week. I used to love that
Yeah, the
fashion
glitz and the
TV. I
glam.
was addicted to fashion TV and looking at fashion shows all the time. But it was that celebrities, Fashion Week. I never thought of educating, right? And then the minute that I got into Sephora Pro, my first challenge was like, well, now you have to go back into the store and teach your other cast members, right? Or your peers. And I was like, what? I have to do what?
Yeah.
And it was very challenging because
hmm
I went into like being a regular cast member with like maybe 10 other people. And then I got this position that was like a national artist. And when I had to go back and teach my peers, some of them were like, so what are you going to teach me? You
Right.
know? So it was, I learned a lot because also like learning how to treat and how to deal with other artists, and their ego. So I mean, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience because then when I had to go into Mexico, it was different
So
because I was
cool.
going as the pro team from the US and meeting all these artists from Mexico and I could speak their language and they were just like, I
We
love
appreciate
you.
it.
They
Yes.
were so appreciative, and like it gives me goosebumps because the people and the artists that I met in Mexico and Brazil, and like I'm still friends with some of those artists. We keep in touch.
Oh, I
And
love
when I
that.
go back to Brazil and Mexico, sometimes we have dinner still. It was
That's what I'm talking about. That
because
community aspect is important, right?
yeah, that feeling, that shine in their eyes, or that
hmm
people some people will get emotional and because after 2 weeks of teaching, some of these trainings with Sephora were extensive. And you have to teach them about client service and color and skin and so many things that after 2 weeks they will come and literally hug you and cry.
Yeah.
So it was very humbling,
Yeah.
and yeah, I liked it. And then after that, I never stopped having, people that I can still mentor, or like I still have some of those artists from Miami that I worked with before, and I call them
hmm
to do some of the shows with me
Sure.
uh,
Yeah.
because I have so many mentors throughout my career, like I
It's
work
kind of our obligation to give it back and pay it forward
give it back.
to the next
And
generation.
the good thing and what I learned, Andrew, was that when I was giving it back to someone else, it was like relearning it myself and perfecting it, perfecting my crafts because I had to teach it and I'm a Virgo. So I am obsessed with like steps
Yes.
and process and logistics and all that.
Systemic.
So
Yeah.
yeah, some people will be like, "Oh my God, you're too intense," because I had so many. But some other artists were like, "I love you. Thank you for,
Yeah.
for this."
Love me a good Virgo. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. You're so fun. This is cool. Could talk to you like forever. But this is an hour show, and we do have another segment that is new for season two, you guys. And
The library is open! Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
There you have it, darling.
this is not to share shade. This is to share light and spotlight our favorite guests. It's called The Library is Open. Ilde, can you share with us what is your favorite book that you are maybe currently reading or a favorite book from the past and your top three reasons why?
Well, uh, well, 100 Years of Solitude, first of all. Cien Años de Soledad. That's like my favorite book It's not an easy book to read. I had to read it when I was in high school, and then when I was on vacations, a few years afterward that I read it again, and I fell in love with it even more. And I think now they're actually making a show in Colombia about 100 Years of Solitude. But Gabriel Garcia Marquez, all of his books, all of them are just amazing, and he's one of my favorites. And then I don't know, I try to read a lot of different things, but like Memoirs of a Geisha, it's also a beautiful book because I love, like it's mixed with the fashion and the Asian culture. So anything that,
Mm-hmm.
and then Gabriel Garcia Marquez is all that Latino, ¿cómo se dice? Es surrealismo mágico, magical surrealism, right?
Right.
His books are like that. It's like
Fantasy.
crazy, like all fantasy, like what you read but yeah,
Cool.
that's one of my favorites, or two
I
of my
love
favorites.
that. 100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and Memoirs of a Geisha. Love that. Thank you for sharing that, Ilde. All right, so now onto another segment. This is going to be our final segment. It is called Wrapping Up My Artist Rapid Cues. Ilde, who is your hero and why?
I don't know if I have a hero. I think it used to be Madonna for a long time.
How are you going to
Growing up
say
in
used
the
to?
90s,
But yes.
because now I see Madonna different. I still love her, but it's like back in the days, I would really play her music and dance and cry. And, my first concert that I went to see her, I completely lost my voice for like 2 days. I couldn't
Which one
speak.
was it? Which concert was it?
I, I, I know I saw two. I think something in the dance floor.
Conventions of a Dance Floor. Yep, that was a
Yeah,
great
and then I
one.
saw the one that she comes out of the disco ball.
That's the same one. Yeah.
Oh, so that was my second one. The first one, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I definitely completely lost my voice and screamed like a little.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Uh,
energy that those shows are. I mean,
I
did you
don't
watch
know, like,
Celebration?
but it could also be
Could be a
what,
personal hero too. It doesn't have to
like
be
John
an artist.
Galliano or
Mm-hmm.
Oscar de la
I
Renta.
love that.
Like there's so many of those artists that inspire me and that I have to admire. And oh my God, Frida Kahlo, hello, huge sort of inspiration. And I went to her house that it's a museum now in Mexico City. And I was like, one of my
Like she was there.
favorite,
I know. It's so crazy to visit
you
that.
have her
Yeah, I've been
paintings
there.
on her bed and her brushes. So that, I have a few. I don't think that as an artist, you can have just one. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I have like so many people that have inspired me. I like to look back at different places to like.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's the whole point is to be inspired by other artists or a personal hero that maybe, has touched you. So, yeah,
And
it's funny
music.
you
Music has
mentioned,
always touched me.
oh, for
So
sure,
I,
music
from
is
doing
very
ballet,
spiritual
like
too.
I still love to listen to Chopin. It's one of my favorites, and like I still play Swan Lake, and I'm like, I get like,
Well, hold on with the music, but really quick, I wanted to touch on Madonna actually when she was in high school, obviously was really lost and everything. Everyone knows that I'm obsessed with her. But when she went to college in Michigan and went to art school, she discovered Frida Kahlo. And that's when she fell in love with the Mexican culture and Latino culture in general. And
and
so
she was kind of like one of those artists that made Frida
mhm,
Kahlo famous back then,
yeah,
because she wasn't really
mhm,
that famous until like Madonna was obsessed with her, and
right.
had like a
She made her
revival.
a celebrity. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. All right, question number two, wrapping up my four artists, rapid cues for Ile. What is your favorite music album of all time and why? Since we just talked about music.
Well, I love Radiohead.
Yeah,
Um,
good choice.
but no, there's this other group. I'm go back in between Radiohead and Little Dragon, but Little Dragon has a
I love
CD.
Little Dragon. I forgot about them. I haven't thought
What
about them
is
in a
it
while.
called? Anyway, Usual Ritual or Rituals, but it's from Little Dragon. It's that CD that I can be in any situation or traveling around the world and I can play it, and it's just her voice, their music. And I mean, I told you that I studied music. So for me, music, it's a
Hmm.
very important part of my life. I'm always listening to either classical music or my meditation music,
Yeah.
like Madonna or Depeche Mode. Like I have so many, I
Mhm.
love music.
Okay, we're in the same era. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, no, I talk constantly about music being spiritual for the artist's soul, particularly to make you look at colors in different ways, shapes in a different way, and yeah, it's very emotional, right? So I
Or to
feel you,
just put you in a mood. You know,
yeah,
sometimes like if I'm going to Brazil, I'm definitely listening to bossa nova.
yeah.
Or if I'm going to New
It
York,
creates the
yeah,
environment, the essence that you have, your
you
aura.
make your own soundtrack, basically.
Hmm. Totally. All right, wrapping up my forest rapid cues. Final question for Ilde. What is your favorite quote?
I think less is more, um, because it's simple, it's very complex for some people, especially makeup artists. At the beginning, for me, less it was it was very hard to
You're
do
like,
less.
what? What about the glitter?
Because I came from theater and ballet, and I wanted to do liner and lashes and all that. And then the more I learned about makeup and the beauty about makeup, and I wanted to work and be higher, they were like, "You need to do natural. You need to do no makeup makeup." And so, yeah, less is more really told me so much, and I was like, "You can do so little and make the model looks a lot more beautiful than me just drawing and applying layers and kind of like covering her beauty." So sometimes for an artist, practicing restraint, it's a great exercise. So
Love
yeah,
that.
less
Thank
is
you for
more.
sharing that. Very cool. Ilde, you're awesome. This is so fun. It's like just talking to a pal. And I can't wait. I'm going to see you soon, actually, at the Powder
I
Group
can wait. Yeah,
Premiere
in June,
Orlando.
right?
We're going to have a great time in about a month. So if y'all are in the area for Premiere Orlando, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I believe, we'll
Yes.
be teaching some classes with the Powder Group, Michael DeVellis. And it's going to be a great time. You're going to learn. We're going to be your mentors. You're going to learn tips and tricks,
In person.
photography, editorial, exactly. Get to ask your questions and take some selfies with us. Maybe we'll have some merch available as well. This is your time to plug in where we can find you. What do you have to announce? Anything that we should be excited about?
Well, to stay in touch, definitely, you guys can follow my Instagram, Ilde Goncalves, ILDE Goncalves. And then my websites, if you want to look at my work or portfolio, also ildegoncalves.com. And my swimwear is Ilde Swimwear. So ILDE swimwear.com. And my Instagram for the swimwear is the same, Ilde Swimwear. So yeah, come and say hi. And Andrew, thank you for
Yes,
this opportunity. It's so
of
nice.
course. Thank you. Definitely check out the swimwear, you guys. You might see myself and my husband rocking that this season. Summer's going to be very caliente.
Woohoo.
But you guys, this is your one-stop shop place for all things balancing mindfulness, creativity, while being an entrepreneur. I have Ilde. Go follow him. Go come see us at Premiere Orlando. Thank you so much, Ilde. I loved having you. We'll have to have you back. And for everybody else out there, make sure that you give us those thumbs ups, those reviews, those hearts. Share this episode with somebody that you love, that you know this might resonate with. That song you're about to hear is called Mi Corazón. You can download Mi Corazón wherever you stream your favorite music. Till the next time, you guys make an impact in somebody's life. Much love and light to you all. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Bye.